I don't know about you guys, but regardless of where you are, where you're born, where you've been, all these different things, have you ever asked yourself, how did I get here? How did I get here waking up at 6, 7, 8 a.m. to wander around in TST and to come to this church and to sit where you are exactly at? Right. Some of us don't even belong here. Some of us weren't even born here. Yeah. Have you ever asked yourself, why am I still in that job? That job that doesn't pay me well. That course I don't even like. In a household. Relax. Hoping to graduate that household into marriage. Okay, no, you jumped way too much. How did I end up with these relationships? With these so-called friends? With these so-called brothers and sisters? Why all of this? And today we look into a character in the Bible who most probably have asked the same thing. Rahab. You look back at her past and we see, okay, is this what she really wanted in her life? Hebrews 11 verse 31 says, by faith, the prostitute Rahab, because she welcomed the spies, was not killed with those who were disobedient. Rahab in the Bible started off as a prostitute. And if you guys didn't know, I'm pretty sure you don't want that as a kid. You didn't grow up and go, man, 20 years, oh, prostitute, yeah. Nobody wanted that. In James 2:25, it says, in the same way, was not even Rahab the prostitute considered righteous for what she did when she gave lodging to the spies and sent them off in a different direction? Imagine that, being in the city, having lived as a prostitute for so long, wanting that to change, and nothing ever happening. She wanted to be righteous. She wanted a different life. How difficult it is to be righteous when that is your job. A sinful job. Every day coming in, having a twisted perception of men, and selling your own body. Every day, in and out. How easy is it to give up on the dreams that you want? In the same way, have we given up these dreams of ours? What circumstances, what people, what opinions have hurt and have killed the dreams that you set for today? You know, at the end of the day, God is a God who wants to reignite the dreams that you have, to give the desires of your heart for His will. Psalms 37 verse 3-4, it says, trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Take delight in the Lord and He will give you the desires of your heart. And that's why I'm so grateful to be part of a movement. Because we're not just here in Hong Kong, but in every part of the world, we give people hope when there is no hope. I'm so grateful that we have mercy projects in Samoa, in Cambodia, in all these different places, giving children what they need, many times an education. And in the mercy program in Samoa, we've now given children education when that was a luxury to people. And I even imagine Jack. You know, Jack is now serving in Fiji. But before we met him, he was a truck driver selling ice. He was a truck driver selling ice, having no dreams of leaving Samoa. That's where he was born. But now, having been a disciple, and amen, afterwards, he fell away. After having fallen away, there was that dream is crushed. I can't be restored anymore. I've sinned this much, I can't do anything. Only for Joe to go, no, you're going to get restored in the Oslo China Conference. Gets restored, jumps back into the ministry. After being in the ministry, goes into ICCM. Is failing ICCM. And having having this dream crushed, going, I'm now in the ministry and I can't even pass ICCM, which is a college that we go through. But Joe's like, no, God has brought you so far. Come on. You are passing ICCM and I will not stand. To now be one of the only few Samoans to have at least a degree, hopefully soon to be a degree in theology, and is now one of the highest achieving scholars in ICC. And beating most people in Australia who, have an education. But anybody can look at Jack and go, okay, this is a Samoan man who, was just a ice truck driver, who fell into sin, is now restored back into the church, and was a failing ICCM student, to now be probably one of the few only Samoan people who have an education in theology, who has a dream to go back to Samoa, who has a dream to go and preach the word there. Anybody can give up, but God has these futures for you. We now look at Rahab and we see what happened to her. What is the difference with her life afterwards? In Matthew 1, verse 5 to 6, it says, Salmon, the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. Boaz, the father of Obed, whose mother was Ruth. Obed, the father of Jesse, and Jesse, the father of King David. David was the father of Solomon, whose mother had been Uriah's wife. Rahab went on to be married to one of the Israelites, and then afterwards would be the great-grandmother to this King David, to then be one of the ancestors of who we now know to be Jesus. And imagine that, to know that this woman, who was a prostitute, to be part of God's plan for salvation. Wow. Anybody can look at people's past, but only God has a plan for these kinds of people. What incredible life does God have in store for you? Jeremiah 29, verse 11, we know this. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you hope in the future. Of only 2 women in Hebrews 11, the Hall of Faith, it was Sarah and Rahab. For Rahab to turn prostitute to perhaps even a prophet, to stand up to a whole nation, to start what Jesus' salvation to be. That is what Jesus' plan for it. That's what God's plan for Rahab, and what is God's plan for you. The title of my lesson today is Rahab, Dare to Dream. And most of us dream. And most of you guys maybe look forward to just dreaming at night. But do you dare to dream in the morning? Point number 1. Point number 1, seize the opportunity. Today is the day that you change. Today is the day that life is anew. And this day won't pass twice. Joshua 2, verse 1 to 7. Then Joshua, son of Nun, secretly sent 2 spies from Shittim. Go look over the land, he said, especially Jericho. So they went and entered the house of a prostitute named Rahab and stayed there. The king of Jericho was told, look, some of the Israelites have come here tonight to spy out the land. So the king of Jericho sent this message to Rahab. Bring out the men who came to you and entered your house, because they have come to spy out the whole land. But the woman had taken the 2 men and hidden them. She said, yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they had come from. At dusk, when it was time to close the city gate, they left. I don't know which way they went. Go after them quickly. You may catch up with them. But she had taken them up to the roof and hidden them under the stalks of flax she had laid on the roof. So the men set out in pursuit of the spies on the road that leads to the fords of the Jordan. And as soon as the pursuers had gone out, the gate was shut. Now, Rahab was not actively looking for an opportunity to, join the Israelites. It just happened. It just so happened the Israelites just came there and it's like, oh, great, let's send spies. And of all things, Jericho is a big city. The spies could have gone to that place, to that place. No. God let the spies go through Rahab's. And Rahab was like, you know what? This is the opportunity God gave me. Let me take it. When's the next time another Israelite or another nation is going to come and attack us? This is the time. But most of us, perhaps, we're not like Rahab. When we want change, we go, maybe later. Let me sit down on the sofa and watch some YouTube. Oh, yeah, too real. You go, maybe later I will change. Or maybe, I'm still okay now. When I feel like I need it, then I will change. But God gives us many opportunities to seek Him. Don't you realize that when your discipler, when your mentor brings something up to you, that is the moment that God wants to tell you, you need to change then. Because when's the next opportunity that person or another person is going to bring up the same thing? Probably never. Will you take it? At the same time, when someone meets you in the streets and go, do you want to come to Bible talk? That is the chance. Because who else will God use to teach you about the Bible? You know, and you look at the church here, and you look at, Auckland, New Zealand, Sydney, and you look at the people that, are disciples now and ask them, who met you? And you'll be surprised at the people you meet. Many times it's a friend of a friend, or, a Christian brought a friend who wasn't that interested, but brought out his cousin, who then brought an aunt, who then brought their uncle, who brought in their son-in-law. That's just how, God works. If you know a Christian, then you're going to work through them. I think of even Nick, one of the brothers in the West, who is from Singapore, who was brought out by, whose friend, who was actually met a long, long time ago, but only recently one of our dear friends, Renee, just brought him out again. But it took another chance to go, hey, I want to know about God. I think about Elias, who is now in Melbourne. One of the few people invites a Muslim person. And the Muslim person goes, I'm not that interested, but I know a friend who might be interested. And now he's leading a valiant, he's one of the missionaries to the Melbourne church. Wow. I think about Lennox and Kira, and you all know this story. Lennox and Kira walked into church from the internet. Come on, Shiny. Wow. Who walked straight into church going, hey, I'm looking for a church that preaches baptism and repentance for the forgiveness of sins. Wow. And you go, oh, dang, that's what we believe in. Dang. Did you read our website or something like that? But for them, it's like their original church meeting that they were supposed to go to, they were late to that. So they quickly searched a church nearby. And we so happened to be the church nearby. Wow. And then they came in, and they're now appointed shepherds of the Austral China. I think about Barrick, who is now in Fiji. This girl is a walking Bible. If you get to know her, she talks to everybody. But she's now in Fiji, and she's baptizing people in Sydney. Because she knows so many relationships. I believe one of her friends, Naomi, who met Barrick as a stewardess on an airplane. Even Millie, going out evangelizing, walks out of the airport, goes, hey, this girl's reading a book. Let me talk to her. That girl gets baptized. Walks into an H&M. The staff there working and helping her get some clothes. Hey, do you want to come to Bible Talk? Comes to Bible Talk and becomes a Christian. Wow. But if you know a Christian, it's dangerous. Because God's going to work through them. But Rahab took a big risk in hiding these men. She was actively going against the rulers of the kingdom she was living in. Why? Because she saw potential. Of the 18, 20 years I've been alive as a prostitute, this is the only chance my life gets to change. Wow. I need to be on the right side. Would you need to live a life you don't want, to feel the consequences after 20, 30 years for you to realize that you need to change? I look even to my conversion. If you guys have been to the brothers' household, there's that little big dorm just next to it. I lived there in my first year. And I was this kid who just came to the Philippines, antisocial. I hated talking to people. I hated my roommates because they're so noisy. But I was this guy who came into Hong Kong not knowing anything. Didn't know how to socialize, didn't know anything. And praise God, she met me, and all these things have changed. But did I have to go through 20 years having no friends, having not learned any Cantonese, to realize that I need to change? Wow. Do I need to wait 30 years before I have problems with my family to know that I need to change? Do I need another 40 years to wait for my children to have problems before I need to know that I need to be a Christian? And I'm like, no, it changes today. Wow. For you, what problems do you start realizing your life? What problems in your life do you realize will only bubble from here on out? And will you change today? Come on. Point number 2, believe in the power of God and not the power of self. You need to know the facts and fear God. Joshua 2 verse 8 to 11. It says, before the spies lay down for the night, she went up on the roof and said to them, I know that the Lord has given you this land, and the great fear of you has fallen on us, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you. We have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to Sihon and Og, the 2 kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, whom you completely destroyed. When we heard of it, our hearts melted in fear, and everyone's courage failed because of you. For the Lord your God is God in heaven, above and on the earth below. Rahab knew her future by looking at what had passed. He understood what God was capable of. He was like, I know that God. I heard these reports. If he could do that to 50 kilometers to that kingdom, what's to say he's going to do the same to here? And I don't want to be a part of that. I want to be on the winning team. Faith to know God, you need to know that the faith is knowing that God has worked in people's lives. To know that God has worked in others' lives as well. If we all claim to know God, and we worry about all these different things, we don't really know how much God has worked in others. So many times we're worried about getting a job. We're like, oh, my resume is like this. Oh, the job market's like this. Oh, this. But you fail to realize, in Sydney and even here in Hong Kong, in everywhere, God has been giving jobs to everyone. I hear of the weirdest ways people have been getting a job. One of our friends, Felipe, he comes in, graduated high school, and goes, hey, I want to work a job in Sydney. And he knows 3 languages. Spanish is like the 3rd language. But it's Portuguese and English. And he goes, okay, great, I want a job. Let's print out the resumes and let's give it to every single restaurant around campus or wherever. And so we did it. And so we've been doing that for 2 weeks. He didn't get a job. All of a sudden, we walk into a grocery store and there's a Portuguese chicken restaurant next to it. And we're like, maybe that one. He goes in, here's a resume, gets hired in the next week. And because of that, and we're like, oh wow, maybe it's his Portuguese connections. That's not true. The manager is Filipino, co-workers in Indonesian. We don't know how he got his job. But Felipe came in knowing, I just want to love the people here. I just love God, and I need to find work. And God has delivered. What else are you going through? Have you heard of other people's stories? Are you overcoming persecution? And do you know how much other people have gone through persecution? What is incredible and something I do relate to is even Fang. Fang's persecution with her family. So if you guys don't know, Fang is working in the ministry over at CT2 in our underground churches. And she's a high-charactered woman. Graduated from Harvard University. No, not the kindergarten. No. The college in the United States of America. Yeah. That one. There's Harvard kindergartens. I don't know why. But being one of I think at that time, one of the eldest to go to a university outside China. What a privilege. To then study and to meet so many people. To have a great perspective and, a great chance for an incredible high-paying job. Eventually she came into the ministry and goes, hey, this is what I want in my life. And well, her family didn't want that. And so she came back home, I believe, for a gathering. And when her family got wind of that, she's like, this is not happening to me. Not you, of all people. They stole her passport, and she's effectively locked into country. And by God's grace, she was able to get it back and fly out of, to go back to Sydney and be trained. But with that situation, being trapped in your own country, with the family that thought you loved and thought that loved you, to now steal your passport, it's a big thing. But she persevered. It's very easy to just go, well, amen, this is my family. This is what I want. But what does God want? And so, amen, and because of that, she was all the more emboldened. I believe because of this, she has a great authority to preach in CT2. And she's baptizing so many people, even her sister. And I'll talk more about that later. But what else has God done in other people? And what excuse do you think that God can't work through you? Is it overcoming your past? Overcoming your financial problems? What has stopped you dreaming bigger? You know, at the end of the day, we need to have faith to know that the Bible changes us. Romans 10 verse 17, it says, consequently, faith comes from hearing the message, and the message is heard through the word about Christ. It's very simple. If you want your faith to grow, read and study the Bible. Very simple. The difference between Rahab and everybody else in the kingdom is just going, Rahab understood that the walls that they've built in Jericho will not hold God's kingdom. Everybody else is like, oh, walls will protect me. Yeah. I don't know how tall that is. The 20-meter high wall. Yeah. Nothing can stop it. But at the end of the day, it's like, even for us, what do we have great hopes on today? What is your wall? Is it your friends, your career, company, family, parents and education, or even money? You have to realize that even if you have all of these things, divorces happen among the rich. Depression comes among the successful. Loneliness comes from the social butterflies. Suicides even happen among the educated. So what is it that we need to put our hopes in? I remember even when I was in Sydney, I heard a wind of this guy who was studying the Bible, I think 2 or 3 years ago. And he went up really far. He's like, yeah, I want to be a disciple and I want to do all these things. But then his hope was not in God, but it was actually in pleasure. Yeah, he had planned to go to this great European trip. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go and spend my money, see the Alps, do great things. And now became, I believe, a tutor, a private tutor for skiing. But then I caught wind yesterday. Yeah, you know the story. And I caught wind a year ago. It's like, there was an accident with this skiing job, and now he couldn't even do the thing that he could. He can't even ski. He can't even teach in a foreign country. And I think God has used that. Will he now run to God? But at the same time, God will always test your motivations. He will test your hopes. Because at the end of it, any motivation that is not God is destined to fail. You know, if you're looking to be different, to be valued and to be valued and thought of highly, you're simply looking for a relationship with God. In a world where everybody can outsource you, in a world where everything can outrank you, in a world where, you know, a PhD in something is the minimum requirement, in human terms, we are not impressive. But at the end of the day, God thinks you're impressive. You cut your hair, that's really cool. Nobody would think of that. But God values you all the time. So who are you pleasing? At the end of it, faith comes with obedience. Joshua 2 verse 11, it says, now then, please swear to me by the Lord that you will show kindness to my family, because I have shown kindness to you. Give me a sure sign that you will spare the lives of my father and mothers, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, and that you will save us from death, our lives for your lives. The men assured her, if you don't tell what we are doing, we will treat you kindly and faithfully when the Lord gives us the land. So she let them down by a rope through the window, for the house she lived in was part of the city wall. She said to them, go to the hills so the pursuers will not find you. Hide yourselves there 3 days until they return, and then go on your way. Now the men had said to her, this oath you made us swear will not be binding on us unless when we enter the land, you have tied the scarlet cord in the window through which you will let us down. And unless you have brought your father and mother, your brothers and all your family into the house. If any of them go outside your house into the street, their blood will be on their own heads. At the end of the day, Rahab was given this decision. If you want to be part of us, you got to do this. You need to tie up a scarlet rope, protect your family, and bring him into the house. That was the expectation. Rahab at this point had chosen to have faith in God, but it came with obedience. You know, too many times we often go, God, bless me, but you don't obey. Too many times we think the blessing comes first. Yet in Jeremiah 29, verse 11 to 13, we know this, but sometimes you can forget. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all of your heart. Let's go. The process is this. Believe in God and know the gifts he will give you. Seek him in prayer and ask for him to know what you need to do. Then you will seek him wholeheartedly. And it's like getting a girlfriend / getting married. It's somewhat similar to God. It's a relationship. Too often we go, hey, do you want to seek God? Do you want to get married to God instantly? Like if you meet someone and you go, hey, nice to meet you. Do you want to get married? Many non-Christians think that way. You just met the person. Why do you expect to want to get married? Instead, get to know them. Understand. Get to know the person before you marry them, obviously. And that's when we take them on dates, have good conversations, know what they like. And that's when we go, do I want to be with this person for the rest of our lives? And that's how seeking God has always been. In the same way, blessing comes after you get to know God, not before.
Come on. Come on. Come on, man.
Do we change the dynamic? And do we call others to that crazy dynamic in the first place? And just to leave off, point number 3. God never leaves a promise unfulfilled. Not one. Joshua 21, verse 45, it says, not one of all the Lord's good promises to Israel have failed. Every one was fulfilled. Imagine if God goes, some of your promises will be fulfilled. Imagine that. Jesus goes, I will resurrect in 3 days. Third day comes and it's like, oh, God's asleep. Oof. And then you go, God, please forgive my sins in 3 days. Or imagine, Moses going up to Pharaoh. Hey, Pharaoh, let my people go. The river will turn into blood. And nothing happens. God is reliable. And especially with the promises that he's made for you. And at the same time, if God is someone who has integrity with his promises, so must we. Joshua 6, verse 16 to 17. The 7th time around, when the priest sounded the trumpet blast, Joshua commanded the army, shout, for the Lord has given you this city. The city and all that is in it are to be devoted to the Lord. Only Rahab, the prostitute, and all who are with her in her house shall be spared, because she hid the spies we sent. Our integrity as Christians, and especially as leaders, is the one thing that has a big issue, that is a big issue with God. How could Joshua ever expect God to come through if Joshua didn't even come through with his own promises? I can only imagine at that time there was a lot of controversy that the Israelite men made a promise to an unfaithful prostitute woman of an ungodly nation that they were about to overthrow. That kind of didn't make any sense. Not only that, but, imagine, okay, why did the spies make this promise in the first place? Their job was to be spies, not make promises with everybody. And so there could be a lot of unpopular opinion. But the fact is, the promise was made. The fact is, go deliver it. And they did. We must never justify our way out of having integrity. You say you're meeting at this time, you meet them at that time. Not later. You can do it earlier, but not later, clearly. Deuteronomy 23, 21 to 23. If you make a vow to the Lord your God, do not be slow to pay it. For the Lord your God will certainly demand it of you, and you will be guilty of sin. But if you refrain from making a vow, you will not be guilty. Whatever your lips utter, you must be sure to do, because you made your vow freely to the Lord your God with your own mouth. And at the end of the day, our loyalty to God is the only way to save our family. Joshua 6, 22 to 25, just ending off. Joshua said to the 2 men who had spied out the land, go into the prostitute's house and bring her out, and all who belong to her, in accordance with your oath to her. So the young men who had done the spying went in and brought out Rahab, her father and mother, her brothers and sisters, and all who belonged to her. They brought out her entire family and put them in a place outside the camp of Israel. Then they burned the whole city and everything in it. But they put the silver and gold and the articles of bronze and iron into the treasury of the Lord's house. But Joshua spared Rahab, the prostitute, with her family and all who belonged to her, because she hid the men Joshua had sent out as spies to Jericho. And she lives among the Israelites to this day. Rahab's brave decision to go with God's plan and to leave everything behind. To leave behind the culture that she has grown up with, the nation that she has sworn loyalty to the family that she thought was loyal to her. She's put that behind and go, this is my future with God. And because of that, her entire family was saved. You know, in the same way, we need to give up our national culture. This nation, like, sure, we're around right now maybe 20 nations. I think, roughly, you know, like we can be generous and think, you know, Jackson's Indonesian just for today. So maybe 15 nations, you know, roughly. But we're all the same nation in front of God. And that's the only thing that matters. You know, we need to put God's family, the church, above blood family. To take the Bible instead of what tradition, of what the culture is. I would rather be the noisy group in the airport. I would rather be that obnoxious, loud group on campus. Rather than be associated with Chinese tradition on your phone in dinner time. I would rather be the odd one out than to follow a group of people's traditions that mean nothing. To take spiritual ambition over worldly ambition. You know, yesterday we were cleaning up. I had the time with Denzel. And Denzel goes, hey, is there a way to know if you're growing too much? And I'm like, that's a great question to ask. If Peter, exactly right. If Peter became a disciple and started one after Jesus, took the whole church to a different level, he could do it more. You know, to be able to take God's kingdom first and build that before building our own kingdom. To build a church rather than to build your bank account. All this. And taking kingdom dreams over our own personal dreams. And ultimately, your stand for God will change your family. You know, and that's why I want to lift up Fang. Fang went through so much. And going through that persecution and standing up against family. When you stand up against family, you stand up against culture. You stand up to your whole nation. Because that's the family-oriented tradition it is. But I can only imagine her entire family caught wind of that. And maybe perhaps some people didn't like it, didn't like what she stood up for, all these things. And that was many years ago, but you think about now. 2 months ago, Molly, her sister, was baptized. Do you think she heard of that? Absolutely. But then Molly came over to the CT2 church, became part of the family. Saw the disciples, saw the campus, joined the family times, watched movies, did all these things, read her Bible. When she was doing her quiet time, she copy-pastes her whole Bible to her journal. Wow. Physical journal. It takes a lot. Prays with the family, is now part of the family, and now is baptized. And you can only imagine what's going on in her heart. Wow, my sister, this is what my sister stood up for. It truly is amazing. And I want to be part of that. At the end of the day, your stand for Christ will not go unheard before God. You know, in conclusion, the title of my lesson today is Dare to Dream. Point number 1, seize the opportunity. 2024, actually it's 9 months past. Rather, 8 months past. It's September the 1st. There's 3 more months into 2024. Will you still postpone the change you should have taken up for in January? And will you crucify that today? Point number 2, believe in the power of God and not the power of self. You can't change. God can change you. That's the only thing. And point number 3, God never leaves a promise unfulfilled. What promise are you still waiting on? And what promise have you given up believing? At the end of the day, I want to encourage you guys, hey, study the Bible. And today we see a new addition. To see someone who did stand up. After many months of studying the Bible, she has taken up the stand. And so right after this, I will have the sisters come up and ask Helene the most important questions to her life. And so with that, to God be glory. Amen.